Hello, this is Jesse Rodriguez Melendez from All Bases Covered, and welcome to Spanglish World Networks on Zingo TV channels 249, 250, and 251. Please remember to download both the Zingo TV app on the respective app stores on iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. The app is free. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire and Fire TV sticks, Roku and Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 and forward. Welcome to this week's edition of All Bases Covered. I'm your host, Jesse Rodriguez Melendez, and joining me tonight is a really special guest, not only because we know him personally, we know him as a man, we know him as an incredible coach, we know him as an incredible family man, and he has done some incredible things to impact the young people that he has mentored, coached, and been a part of these wonderful organizations that he has run. So I would love if everyone would please help me welcome Coach Sal Giardina. He has been coaching for over 40 years, coached high school ball in New York in the 80s, coached 3 years in Lynn University, 2 years as an assistant coach, and 1 as a head coach. Started the Bullets Travel Organization in 1998, coached teams from 9 to 18U. If anyone has coached, you know how hard some of that stuff is. Has been coaching at Sefner Christian Academy for 6 years, 2 district championships, and was named Coach of the Year for 2 years. And he is currently coaching the Gulf Coast Collegiate League in St. Pete, Florida. So please help me welcome this wonderful man to the show, Coach Sal Giardina, to the show. Coach, it is such an honor to have you. I am so excited to have you on with me tonight because I have personally watched you interact with these young people that you have had an incredible impact in their lives. You've also coached side by side with Tony, and Tony has always said of all the coaching experiences that he's ever had, and you know Tony's been in the coaching world for a long time too. He says coaching with you was just one of the biggest pleasures ever. So welcome to the show tonight. Thank you so much for being here with me. Let's catch up. Tell me what you're up to. I know you're up to a lot these days. Tell me a little bit about what's happening in Coach Sal's world.
It's been busy. It's been really busy, and coaching baseball right now is my life, and this is what I do every day. And over the summer, I'm coaching like you said, the Gulf Coast Collegiate League. A bunch of college kids coming in from all over the country, playing down here in St. Petersburg. It's a 6-week program. We're in week 4.
Nice.
We play every day of the week. So it's been phenomenal. It's an opportunity to touch kids, and I should say college men from all over the country now coming here to St. Pete. So it's been fun. It's been a challenge. And again, I'm still working with my high school kids too over the summer too, from Sefner Christian. So I do both of those things all summer long.
So now I mentioned in the intro that you've been in the world of, baseball and coaching for over 40 years. How did you get started in the coaching world?
I played baseball. I played in high school up in New York. I came down to college. I actually played at the College of Boca Raton for 4 years, and I always wanted to coach. It was in my blood. Never went on to play pro ball. So after I was done with college, I just wanted to. I made a lot of mistakes. I didn't have people teaching me things, how to get to pro ball, and that was just always part of my heart. Is I wasn't going to let young men make the same mistakes I made growing up, because I had no guidance. So what drives me is to guide kids on how to do well in high school to get to college, and how to do good in college to get to pro ball if they can make it.
And one of those young men that you helped get to the professional levels, your son.
Yep, right? I actually had 2 of them. My oldest boy played Double-A with the Angels. I actually coached him in high school. I was assistant coach.
Oh, I think
through the whole draft process, and it was a rough time. But you know what? After 4 years of college, we went and played pro ball, made it to Double-A with the Angels. And then my youngest son, we went through the whole process with him again, getting him going to college and playing college ball, getting a college degree, going to play pro ball. He just actually just retired last year after 8 years of pro ball. He made it to AAA with the Braves. And you know what? It was a great process teaching them and building a foundation for them. They did all the work. You know, people always give me credit for them playing pro ball. They did all the work. I just laid down the foundation of what they needed to do, teach them a work ethic, and teach them what it was to be committed to something. And they went and they did all the work, and I'm going to give them all the credit.
And so, you know, we've spoken before. I've had you on the show before. This time it's a little different, Coach, because, you know, now I'm really gearing the channel, All Bases Covered, to really talk about the sports business and what it means to really be in the sports business. And what a lot of people don't understand is that this is tough work. It takes a lot of grit. It takes a lot of passion. You have to have the passion for this. You have to have the determination. And you really have to have the love for the players. You really want them to succeed. You really want to see them flourish. And so, especially in youth sports, and that's really mainly the coaches that I work with are all youth sports coaches. And one of the things that I admired so much watching you was the interaction that I saw you have. It reminded me so much of Coach Tony, the interaction and the way you really cared about these young men. And while, you know, you are running an organization, and obviously it takes systems and processes and money. You know, it
Yes.
does take money to run an organization, yet you still do it with so much passion and love. What do you think is one of the biggest challenges that you see out there now for young people that are coming up and they want to do what you do? They want to go out there, they want to coach, they want to, you know, use their talents and gifts to create an
Mm-hmm.
impact. What do you see are some of the challenges now?
One of the biggest challenges, one of the biggest challenges that are out there right now is, I'm going to say, is parents.
Yeah.
Parents have their perception and their vision of their child on where they're going to be, and sometimes people get you don't want to chase the money. If you take care of the kids and you do the right thing by the kids, the money will follow. That's that was my biggest thing, and my biggest success is I went for years without making a dime and coaching just because I wanted to help kids get to college. That was a passion. And then, you know what, God blessed me enough to be able to retire at 50 and do this full time. And you know what? As I found, when you take care of the kids and that's your passion and you're honest with parents, the money will follow. And there are a lot of people out there that are making a lot of money in youth sports. And I hate to say it, there's a lot of people doing it the wrong way. And they're not doing it ethically because it's all about the money. My biggest thing when I tell coaches now, and I've talked to a bunch of coaches, young coaches that come to me that used to play for me, that want to get into coaching businesses, take care of your players, be honest with your parents, and everything else will follow. It's just having that integrity and being the biggest word is being consistent. You need to be consistent every year, year in, year out, day in, day out with your players and your parents.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
And you as a coach sometimes don't see the same thing they see. You're emotionally attached to the kids as a parent. I've been on both sides, and it's hard. It's hard for a parent to see it, but you as a coach got to do it. You don't want to steal parents' dream, but you want to be honest with them because you don't want to tell them the wrong things because then it makes you look bad if the kid doesn't succeed. You know, you have to build a foundation with these kids and show them hard work. This is what's going to take to get to where you want to be.
Yeah.
And then it's up to the kids.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and one of the things that from when we had our facility, I'm just going to speak on our behalf. I'm sure that you've probably experienced some of this as well. And I also see this as one of the challenges and one of the things that I try to teach the coaches that I'm working with and consulting. One of the big challenges that we had is that we did run travel teams out of our facility. We actually ran over 25 different programs in our tiny little facility. And through that, we had built travel teams. And the real reason we built travel teams was that we wanted the kids to grow up through our system. We wanted them to be prepared, not only physically, but mentally, emotionally, We wanted really for the to be a well-rounded player. They had to have good grades. We wanted to see their report cards. By the way, if anyone's watching and you want to ask any questions, Coach Sal will be more than happy to answer questions here tonight. We're going to be talking a little bit about recruiting and the business aspect and what a
Yep.
huge business that's become. But if you have any questions, now is a great time to ask Coach Sal. And please share this video with your friends and family on social, outlets. This is going to be great information that you're going to be hearing here tonight. And I think that it's very valuable for parents and players to hear some of this tonight. So one of the greatest challenges we used to see, Coach Sal, was, we would have a kid come, they would be playing, and then suddenly the parent would want their kid playing on 3 and 4 different travel teams a
Yep.
season. And Coach Tony and coaches that we had at our facility used to tell parents, one, it's not only a liability to our team that you have them out there playing on all these different teams, it's a liability to your child. You're looking for this kid to get hurt, and now he's of no value to any organization, and much less to any potential college team that he may have the opportunity to play with in the future. And so we used to, we had these rules, we had set rules, and we used to tell parents, you're going to sign an agreement with us that you're committing your child to our program for this season. You didn't have to commit for every season, but if you're committing this season, you have to commit to us. What are some of the things that you're finding or have seen with some of this, and how has it gotten worse?
Oh,
It,
it's
it
out
has.
of hand. It is so out of hand right now because with the problem that I see is you have coaches that they're in sell mode. So they're selling parents on what they could do for their child. And everybody could sell a great game. And I've gotten, and it's not me, it's their hard work, the kids that I've had the Bullets organization. But there are other programs out there that, they travel all to the big tournaments, and with parents like that whole big tournament deal where there's 400 teams at a tournament. What they don't understand is when you have 400 teams at a tournament, college coaches aren't going to every game. They know these are the 10 players, because I recruited for college when I coached. These are the 10 players I'm going to this tournament for to look at. And, if you're not playing that tournament, you're not playing that team, or you are not playing, have a stud on your team, they're not coming to your games. And you're paying a lot of money to go to these tournaments. And that's why, you know what, it's crazy. And the grass is always greener on the other side. And if parents don't like what you're saying because you're being honest and consistent, then they'll move on. And I used to take it personal when people used to leave me and leave my team. And it would really hurt because, like, you didn't trust me with your kid. But then I've matured over my last 10 years of life of being 60 now. I've matured where, you know what, if I can't force you to stay. If you're going to leave to go somewhere else, you're going to go somewhere else. I'm here and I'm going to do the best for your child. And I'm going to be honest with you. But then these people, the amount of money they're spending on these teams, there's some teams down here that charge like $4,000 for the summer. And they travel all over the place. It's crazy. And you know what? It's just, again, the parents always think the grass is greener and they don't realize it's not. So I tell coaches all the time is, if you're consistent, you're honest, loyalty is not a word anymore. No one has loyalty to a coach. And you know what? It is what it is. But I'm going to coach the kids that want to be coached. I'm going to coach that. I'm going to give everything I got to whoever wants to come out and play for me at this point. I don't go out and really recruit. A lot of these teams, because they're out recruiting people to play for their travel team. I don't do that. I ask people because I know what kind of character they have. I know their parents. I talk to their parents before they come over. So I'm interviewing the parents, where a lot of parents these days interview the coach on what you could do for my child.
Right. Well, one of the things that you've also done, and we also did, and that's how we met you, actually, was through Coach White.
Yes.
And through Coach Chuck White. And Coach Chuck is involved in recruitment. He
Yes, he does.
helped players find colleges. And we would always be real upfront with parents. We used to tell them, look, we could do our part. Your kids got to do their part, not only with showing up, being a great teammate, putting in the hard work, but also getting good grades.
Right.
What a lot of parents weren't realizing, and still don't realize, is that it doesn't matter how great a kid is. One, at a certain age, I say let the kids go out there and have a good time. If they're not
Yep.
if they're not in high school yet, your kid should be playing to have a good time, to make some friends, and have some baseball experiences, and be mentored and coached by great coaches if you're lucky enough to
Right.
find them nowadays. And when you do find them, I say stick to them like glue, because great coaches nowadays are hard to find. But I know that that's a process that you've put a lot of your players through. How many of your players have you now helped achieve higher education because of baseball?
I'm going to say hundreds of
Mhm.
kids have played in college degrees. Um, I've had kids that, one. I give an example of a kid years ago. He wanted to go. His dream school was University of Florida, and I didn't think he was good enough to play University of Florida. I said to him, I said, listen, if that's your dream school, go. Go
Right,
walk on and try out. You got nothing to lose. If you make the team, you make the team. You don't make the team, you know what? You're at your dream school. So you,
right.
as long as you know that going there. And he went and he walked on, but he ended up being a bullpen catcher for them for 2 years. Went to the College World Series with them. And it was a great experience. His senior year, he got a couple at bats, but he was on a team that he went to his dream school. It was, you're a student athlete first, not an athlete student. That's what parents don't understand. They
Right,
think, they look at all the contracts of big league baseball players and they think, this is my retirement if I put it all into my kid now. And no
right.
one knows how hard it is. And I walked
Mhm.
through it firsthand with both my boys. It's so hard. The chances of making the big leagues are slim to none. But my guys that went to college, man, he went there and you know what? He caught Jose Fernandez, the late Jose Fernandez.
Yes,
He caught him in high school for 4 years. So he was used to in high school catching a guy throwing 98.
that's
So when he
awesome.
went over there to the bullpen, they loved him because he could handle D1 catches, or
That's
D1
awesome.
pitches, I should say. And you know what? He made the team, went to college World Series. What a great experience for him. So, you got to talk to other guys. The kids that played for my high school this past year, two of my players, they said to me, because I sat down with them in September and I said, what do you want to do for college? What are we looking at here? We got to start working on this now. And they said to me, we want to stay in the state of Florida. I was honest with both of them. I said, listen, enjoy your senior year of college because you're probably not going to play college baseball. And
Mm.
we have a small Christian school.
Mhm.
And both these guys they were a little depressed, but you know what? They came out and worked hard every day. And then they decided to look at a school up in Carolinas, and they both got scholarships to Montreat College. So now they're going to play college baseball because they listened, and it wasn't like I'm not going to tell them, you know what? Hey, I'll try to get you in school in Florida. They weren't good enough to play in Florida, and that was the bottom line. They both good ball players too, but that's what people down here don't understand is, you know what? Go up north, go into Carolinas, go up to the Northeast and play. Go
And
to college where you're going to play and get a degree. Because you're going
right,
to college to get a degree. You're not going to college to play baseball. Baseball is a piece of college.
right.
So you're
I
going to
agree.
college to get a college degree and come out with a college degree, and hopefully baseball helps pay for it. That's the way I taught my boys. And I was lucky. That's another reason why I got to retire at 50, because I didn't have to pay for college for either of my boys. So it was a wonderful thing.
And might I add that you have a beautiful wife who you've been married to for 35 years? Is it 35
Yes.
years?
Yep.
And she's been extremely supportive of all of your endeavors
Yes,
with
she has.
baseball. And your two sons, who you've mentioned, and you also have a daughter,
I have a daughter.
and
Yep.
and your two fur babies.
And yeah, my two fur babies that they're my pals now. So all the kids
Yep,
are out of the house, and I love my dogs.
yep, yep. And so, with that, I know that you guys also owned a baseball facility for a little while, right?
Yeah, we did, and you know what? The people that own the property sold the property, so I had to close. I had to
Mhm.
close down the indoor batting cage that I had. But then, you know what? Again, I've been blessed with a big piece of property, and I put a little building in my backyard, so I got an indoor cage. It's a small cage, but I get to do private lessons at night to some kids. And that to me is when you could take a child, and that's how I build my business, is I take kids that really don't know how to hit, teach them how to hit. They go back to Little League or Cal Ripken or wherever they're playing, and parents start asking, what happened to him? And they say, hey, we're working with this guy, Coach Sal. And you know what? It's not about just taking money from these people. It's about really caring about these kids and teaching them. And you know what? I've had guys that have been hitting me. They started hitting me when they were 8 years old, and now they're going to be juniors in high school, and they still hit once a week.
I know,
and we
and
can tweak things. I don't change things for the sake of changing things. We just tweak things as needed. They're great kids.
Yeah, you and Tony, the language you use reminds me so much of the way Tony speaks. I think that's why you and Tony, you've always really been on the same page with so much of this. Because, same philosophy. Tony's always said,
Yes.
I'm not looking to change a player. I'm just looking to make them better and use whatever they have and, do
Right.
just that, tweak them and use their abilities to just make them better. And so you and Tony coached together for a little while because
Yeah.
we brought some of our boys that have always dreamed of playing in Florida. You opened the
Yep.
door for them. We opened up a baseball homeschool down in Florida, and our boys actually got to play together with some of your guys. And
Yep.
o- through that experience, Coach, you watch these young men that had never ever really even been a part of your organization, yet they came in and they gelled so well with your boys.
Yes.
um and so I always say that it's like you mentioned earlier, when you really have your heart and soul in the right place and you're really guiding from the front, when you're really leading from the front the way you do, I always say that that's what makes what you do great. It's what really makes your player trust you. It's what makes
Yes.
the family trust you. It's what builds a great organization. What now? I know you're working with some of these boys at the college level, and you're coaching a collegiate team. What are you saying to some of these young men that their aspirations perhaps are to play, professionally? I mean, I think most young
Mhm.
men, that's their dream and aspiration. How do
Without a
you
doubt.
keep how do you keep it real with some of these young men that sometimes you really have to, and it's not about crushing dreams, but we always want to keep it real with them and help them see the bigger picture, right?
Exactly, and that's what I do. And just to touch one of those guys from that came down from New York and played for me is now playing on my collegiate team, Justin,
Mhm.
and
Yes,
having a phenomenal summer.
I
Having a
love it.
phenomenal summer. Played at a college down here, and he's actually going to be heading back to New York. And I'm trying to get him into a college up in New York. So, what a great kid! But these kids become part of my family. But you know what?
Yes.
When talking to these guys, and you want to be so honest with them, but there's a way to tell them, and it's
Mm,
it's just letting them realize if they got what it takes or don't. I'm not going to steal anybody's dream. If you
right.
want to be a big league ball player, then you got to do A, B, C, and D. And if you're not willing to do it, then don't be disappointed at the end when you don't have what you wanted. So you got
Right.
to work towards it. And that was one of the things I learned with my boys. It was, you know what, you're not going to, I'll support you during the summer. I'll support you through college. But you got to, when you're off from baseball, you got to lift, you got to run, you got to throw. And when you stop working out, then you go get a job. Because I'm not
Right.
going to support you. If you want to work towards your goal, I'm here to support you. But if
Right.
once you stop and get lazy, then you go get a job and you start supporting yourself. And
Right.
they bought into it. So these guys on my college team, I actually sat down with a guy today. It's so funny because he came. I just found out the other day he's a first baseman. He's not a third baseman. He's been playing third base for me all summer long, and he's phenomenal. And I just
Mm,
found out he doesn't play third base, plays first base. And
wow.
I just started chatting with the guy. I'm like, because I won't even play in third base. He's like, this summer. I'm like, are you kidding me? He's like, no, I'm a
That's
first baseman. I said,
awesome.
you really? I said, why don't you tell me at the beginning of the summer? He goes, no, I really enjoyed it. And he's doing a really good job. And I'm like, this kid has potential, but it's going to be a hard road. He's a freshman in junior college. And now my whole goal with him is to try to get him into a good D1 program after next year because he has the ability to do that. And then we'll see what happens with pro ball. I tell guys, you know what? We had a pro scout at our game yesterday because one of my oldest son he's an agent now for Full
Mm,
Circle Agency. And
nice.
one of the guys one of his clients that pitched in high school and came off an injury. So he's just coming out and getting 2 innings with me on 1 day a week just to get him work because he's going to University of Georgia. And we
Mm,
had a couple scouts out there yesterday watching the game, and a bunch of guys are like, coach, the scouts over there, the scouts over there. Okay. Well, you got to do some stuff on the field to get the scouts' attention.
right.
So
Exactly.
it's just, I try to teach these guys the things to do away from the field. It's not, with scouts only don't always look at what you do on the field. How's your mannerisms in the dugout? How you sitting in the dugout? That's one of my pet peeves. Guys that cross their legs in the dugout, don't do that.
Right.
Because it shows that you're not in the game. You're too relaxed. I want you to be
Yeah,
relaxed,
body
but
language
not
is
relaxed.
yeah, body language is very important.
It's
Very
big.
important.
And those are the little things that I didn't have growing up teaching me. And that's what
Mhm.
drives me, because I want to make sure God's given me a gift, and I want to make sure I help with these kids.
Yeah. No, and you're doing a great job at it, coach. Um, Now, through our baseball homeschool, and this
Mm-hmm.
is what I really want to point out, my goal with that has always been that we would bring guys up through, through the school, and they would go out, and if they got the opportunity to play professionally, wonderful, go live out
Right.
your dream. But if you ever wanted to become involved and use your talents to not only take care of you, but impact the future generations, to come back and work in the school or work
Mm-hmm.
through the organization. And that's one of the things that we got to do. We got to give our boys the opportunity to come back and coach. Do you have a lot of that going on in your organization where you have young men come back and then they coach for you?
Yeah, it's actually, I have a young man that played for me since he's been 10 years old. He's now 25. He coached high school baseball with me last year. He came over and coached at the high school last year. And then what I was trying to prepare him for, because he wants to coach for a living. That's what he wants to do as a job.
Mm,
And I was just trying to prepare him on what he needed to do to become a college coach. So we did a lot of things, and he asked a lot of questions, and I try to throw a lot of responsibilities on him to let him go out there and learn how to do it. And he got a job with Warner University this year. So he had his first year of college coaching this year, and we were talking, because he's just he's been one young man that's been I've watched him grow. I've watched him play in college. His dad is one of my best friends, and you know what? He's like my own son, this kid. And you know what? He came to me today and said, "Hey, listen, if we add another team to this college league next year, do you think I can manage that team? Because he's my assistant on the college team too." And I'm like, "Yeah, without a doubt." And he's like, "I hate to leave you, but no, this is what you want. You want to teach your boys to do what you're doing." And he's just been such a great student. And it's scary because there are people out there that play for him and tell him, and his dad tells me all the time how people say he's just like Coach Sal, because we spend so much time together. So it's like duplicating what you do. It's very hard to find kids that will do what you do and care about it. And I have a bunch of guys come back, and now they're starting to coach on my 18-year-old team. They coach on my Bullets organization. They're trying to want to get into coaching. So they come out, and some guys don't know how hard it is to coach and how much work it is to coach. They just think you show up, write a lineup, and go play a baseball game. They don't know all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, all the stuff dealing with parents, how to talk to parents, how to deal with a parent when they're upset because their kid didn't play, and all that kind. There's so much more to coaching than just making a lineup and going and playing. That's the fun part about it.
Absolutely.
And you know what, coaching with Tony, I learned so much from him. Like he says he learned stuff from me. I love coaching that man, because I look at things he does and I'm like, wow, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
So we're brothers from different mothers. That's what we are.
Yeah, and coach, he says it all the time. He says, some of my fondest memories coaching and you didn't even get to coach that long together, but he's like, we really had a great time. There was just great chemistry. And that's the message that I want to send out to young people today. If you love the sport that you're playing, just because you don't make it to the professional level doesn't mean that you can't come back and serve in another capacity. Listen, we need sports doctors. We need sports lawyers. We need physical therapists. We need, we need apparel creators for sports. We need, coaches. We need, recruiters and
Right.
agents and scouts. And there's just so much you can do in the sports world if you don't end up playing the sport professionally.
Exactly.
And that's why it's so important that when you're out there with your coaches, that you pay attention, not just to what they're doing as a coach, but what they're doing as a mentor, what they're doing as a businessman, what they're doing as a family man, what
Yep.
they're doing as a faith-filled man. I know that you're a man of great faith, and I know that you turn everything that you do over to God. And I think that
Yes.
that's something that we really need to start instilling in the young people today. Is like, we have forgotten faith and the foundations of faith. How
Exactly.
important is faith played a part in your organizations, Coach?
It's incredible. It's, you know what, it's really starting to roll over the last 5 years,
Mm.
and actually just started last week was my first time leading a Bible study with one of the kids from my college team this year, a kid that graduated my high school 2 years ago, a kid that graduated a year ago, a guy that's 11th grader this year. He's coming. I got another guy that graduated this past year. They're coming. So it's different ages that are coming. And being all baseball guys, we get into the Bible, we get into the Word, and we build a foundation. But we realize, and they're starting to realize, because I'm realizing I'm learning so much myself, is that you could listen to the Word and learn the Word, but you could put it towards baseball.
That's right. It
And
can
and
lead
you know
up with
what? This is
absolutely.
my ministry. My ministry now is
Yes.
really is trying to grow my faith and using
Yes.
baseball as my ministry for all my guys. And like I said, I'm just learning. The last 5 years has been going on, and I've been coaching my Bullets organization since 1998. And you know what? God, there was a reason why God got me to retire, because I didn't get myself to retire at 50, but God got me to retire at 50, and He knew what He was doing. It was a plan. So
Right.
now I instill, you know what, I instill with my high school team, and this is why we've the process. And they're buying into, you know what, God has a plan for us, and if it's a win a state title, it's a win a state title. If it's not to win a state title, and we've lost in the regional finals the last 2 years, we won in extra innings both years before we go to the Final Four to the state of Florida.
Mm.
And you know what, we all know that it wasn't in God's plan, but how are we going to glorify Him through it?
Right. That's
And you
that's a
know what?
great message.
What is he getting us to learn out of these last two losing games in the regional finals and extra innings? What are we learning from it? Next year when we go back, all my returning players, they're on fire for, they're on fire for the Lord, and they're on fire for, working hard and glorifying Him. So we could do that. Just, you don't lose. You can't lose.
And so that's the point, right? Like we just said it. If you don't make it in sports professionally at the professional level, well, hey, you can always become a youth sports coach,
Yep.
that leads young people to Christ. That could be your ministry. You can
Mm-hmm.
become a sports journalist, right? We certainly can use more you know more young people involved in the industries that need to be saturated with some goodness.
I'll tell you this. One of the good things that having my 25-year-old assistant coach, I'm 60. I'm old school.
Hmm.
He's more relatable to the players. There are a
Right.
lot of things the players did the year that they do now that just blow my mind. Like, I would never even think about doing stuff that they do now on the field, like
Right.
the bat flip and the celebrations and all. And I'm trying to tweak my mind to say, okay, it's okay. That's not in my
Yeah, yeah,
framework here. But he's like, Coach, it's okay. That's what they want. This is what the young guys want. And I'm like, okay, but I struggle with it. And
yeah. Right. Right.
that's why having young guys getting into coaching and being able to give back
Right.
to the young kids, they're relatable, more relatable. And I get down, I'll have a good time with my players, and they laugh. They laugh at me because I'm old school.
Right.
The big thing, I had a guy in the dugout today have his hat on backwards. I'm like, direction of your hat's the direction of your life. Turn your hat
Yes,
around. And you know
that's
what? And they
right.
laugh and they look at me like I'm nuts, but that's what it's all about. But having young guys get into the coaching field is a there is a living that could be made by doing it.
Right.
But again, don't chase the money.
Right.
Chase the. My whole goal is to create good young men that become good fathers, that become good husbands, that become good students, and
Right.
good Christian men. That's my
Right.
goal right now, and the money follows that, because I am amazed. I don't make a lot of money, but I'm amazed that the money that I actually get paid for doing what I love to do, because
Right.
it's not a job. And people
Right.
say to me all the time, "You're the busiest retired guy I know."
Mm-hmm.
I don't work. I get up, I
Right.
get dressed every morning in my baseball pants. I go to the baseball every morning. How great is this?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So but there's a lot of money to be made out there, and that's what I'm trying to teach my assistant coach, because he wants to be a head coach in college. And then he started, filling out applications for head coaches. He's not ready to be a head coach. And me and him had the conversation about it already, and it's an honest conversation with him. And I'm not putting him down. He will be a good head coach one day. And I said, when you become a head coach, I want to be your assistant.
Mm.
And he said, you'll be the first one I hire. So you know what? And I'll be 70 years old maybe, but who knows? I'll be out there. I'll be out in the dugout in a walker. Who knows? But it's just being. You know what? I've been so blessed to be able to give back to kids, and now a lot of guys that are my son's age are starting to coach. They're coaching their own travel ball teams, and it's just fun to watch. It's fun to watch, and watching my son with my grandson. Yeah, he's 2 years old right now, and he's got him pitching already. So it's fun to watch. I just sit back and watch it all.
That is so awesome. That's awesome. And it's those kind of, memories that you're creating also with these young people, right? We have young men that still, and young women that grew up through our organization, come back, they're now married, they have their own families,
Yeah,
and they still come back and they look at Tony like a father figure. They're like,
exactly right.
we don't just see you like a coach, you're like a father figure to us. And that's why it's so important that if you're going to take on anything, whether it be your own organization, your own facility, you're going to coach, a youth team, or you're going to coach a college team or a high school team or any team, that are really showing one, good morals, that you're showing that you have your heart in the right place, that you're showing that it's not always only about winning, that sometimes we have to take the loss and we
Yep,
have to win from losing,
yep,
right?
yep.
I mean, there's some great lessons in that, right?
Well, I'll tell you this. One of my biggest things I've learned probably over the last 10 years is winning and losing doesn't define you.
Right.
It's what you do with winning and losing defines you. How
Right.
you handle winning and losing. You could be a horrible winner.
Right.
Everybody loves to win,
Right.
but you
Right.
could be a horrible winner. If you're that horrible winner, you know what? Karma will come back and get you.
I agree.
And you could be a horrible loser. If you're walking, I tell my boys at the high school level, if we walk away with a loss and we don't learn something from the loss, then you know what? It was a waste of a day.
I agree.
If we don't learn how to glorify God in winning and losing, it's a waste of a day. And over the last 2 years, we have my high school team has not lost 2 games in a row. Because another philosophy we have is you got from the end of the game until midnight to celebrate on a win or be mad, sulk, whatever you want to do for a loss. But at 12:01, we start thinking about the next game.
I love that.
And it's unbelievable. So like I said, I'm just very blessed, and I'm very blessed on the people that's been around me. This is not me. My success in my high school is not me. It's my players' hard work. It's my assistant coaches. I got a great coaching staff over there with me, and these are guys that have been with me for a long time. And those are the guys that if you don't surround yourself, because everybody likes to do it on their own, it's hard to find people that have the same passion as you.
Yep.
But as coaches, we got to teach, and we got to learn to teach, get people like-minded around you. That's why I loved having Tony in the dugout, because we're like-minded. We're thinking the same thing. Now, I'm an assistant coach that's been with me. My oldest boy's 35. When he was 6, we coached T-ball together, and we coached together since my kid's 6. And his son was 6 years old. And he's from the South, and I'm from New York. but we think exactly alike. It's the craziest thing. But he just got a Southern twang, and I got a New York accent.
Yeah. Well, and here's what's interesting, Coach. You've
Because we've been
down
together, but you got to surround yourself and teach your coaches around you how to be successful, because the successful coaches, if any successful coach in baseball has a great coaching staff.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Absolutely.
you could try to do it on your own, and I've done it, but we're not. I'm telling you right now, it'll wear you down trying to do everything on your own.
Yeah,
And I've tried it. I've tried it. It's hard because it's hard to find people. But you start having parents when you have an organization. Like you had 25 teams. I had 20 teams at one point, and I had a lot of dads in my organization coaching. It's tough to find people that are there for all the kids.
Yeah.
And not just their kid.
Yeah.
And they find 9, 10 other people to play with you.
We were really fortunate that way. I thank God for the ones that we did find that were very dedicated, not only to us, but dedicated to the organization, dedicated to the team itself. They really wanted the kids to excel. One of them, of course, which is Coach Jose Silva. Coach Jose Silva's dad. An incredible coach. We had another Jose Ayala that was also phenomenal and really had his heart in the right place for the kids. Really wanted all the kids to excel, and they really, they were coaches that came under Tony's wing. They didn't have tons of experience when they first started coaching, and they ended up being incredible coaches. I mean, they became the coaches that the parents wanted their kids to play with them. It was so wonderful to watch happen. And that's because here's the thing, they were coachable as well.
That's the key.
Their kids
all coaches have egos.
They were coachable.
All coaches have egos, and if a coach is not coachable, how does he expect his players to be coachable?
Yep.
I learn from my players on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
And I tell them when they teach me something new, I will tell them and give them credit and say, hey, you know what? You taught me something new yesterday because you did this, I did this, and I reacted this way, and this is how you reacted. I learned something from you, and I want to thank you for it. So all of a sudden, you have young men that a coach that, you know what? I'm old enough. I'm older than most of these guys' fathers now, so I'm like granddaddy. But but you know what? When you give them credit for them teaching the guy that's been coaching 42 years, and you go over to them and say, hey, you know what? I really appreciate what you let me learn today. Thank you. They feel really good about themselves, and they become more coachable because we're all human.
Right.
We all make mistakes. I tell them I'm not the best coach in the world. I am going to make mistakes, but they got to trust me that every move I make is going to be the best thing for this team, not for every individual. And that's what I explain to parents. You know what? Your son might not be playing for our team. And when parents buy into that, which this year I pretty much had a great set of parents.
That's awesome.
And that's you know what? That's what defines you as a coach.
Yeah.
Is the people around you.
Absolutely.
How you handle winning and losing. And it's not winning and losing. You know what? My baseball organization, I had a baseball park that I used for 17 years for my organization.
Yeah.
Getting older, it's tougher to take care of the fields myself. I wasn't making the money to put back into the park, so the fields were starting to go down. So I gave it back to the county. And you know what? When I gave the park back to the county, there was probably 250 plus trophies that ended up in a dumpster.
Wow.
So, you know, I had no room in my house for them. I took the very important ones. There was 4 that were very important to me. I took them home, and the rest of them ended up in a dumpster. So coaches are out there playing for these trophies and these medals. You know what? My trophies and medals and I had a kid, one of my players get married last month, and he asked me to be in his bridal party.
Oh, that's so
You
awesome.
talk about a trophy.
That's a trophy.
That makes, you know what? This isn't someone that he looked at me, and I said, like, am I the oldest guy in your bridal party? He goes, well, my dad's in it too. So you and my dad can hang out.
That's
so, you know what? But that was to me, you know, other kids are having kids, and they're sending me pictures of their kids, and they're becoming dads. And I had one kid he just became a father. One of my players just became a father. And my Father's Day this year, he goes, Coach, if I could be half the dad you are, I'll be successful.
Oh,
So you know what? Things like that. Who needs to win a trophy?
Right.
That's the trophy in a hand, and that's the gift from God. That's what I'm finding now is that's a gift from God that he just keeps on giving on a daily basis. Like, just keep doing what you're doing, take care of my children, and you know what? I'll take care of you.
Exactly. I was just going to say that. And as you take care of his children, he will take care of you and yours,
That's
not
exactly right.
just you, you
Yep,
and your house.
that's exactly right.
Absolutely. He will
And he
take
has
care of.
blessed us. He's blessed us unbelievably. And you know what? When things, we just built a clubhouse at the school, and we were hurting for money, and I was short $1,800, and I got a phone call one morning, and the lady said, a lady at the office said, Sal, someone gave me a check for $1,600 last night. I said, give it to Coach Sal. I don't want him to know who's giving it to him, but give it
Wow.
to Coach Sal. If he
That's
has
awesome.
any bills coming in for the new clubhouse. No one knew
That's
that I had an $1,800 bill coming in, that I had no money to pay it.
But he knew.
He knew, and he sent $1,600. So I'm not gonna
Right.
give it all to you. I'll let you earn the other $200.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
I'll take it. You know what? But then,
Absolutely.
that's just the gift from God that he knew, and you know what?
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, fell to my knees and cried.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Of
blessed.
course. And it's those types of experiences that make us appreciate it even more.
Mhm.
God knows what he's doing, because when we have to hustle for it, when we
Yep.
have to really, off the sweat of our brow, when we've got to earn it, we appreciate it more. We take better care of it. And
Right.
it's a great lesson for your players to learn as well, because too
Exactly.
many players, too many young people, I would say nowadays, there's too much expectation of just
Hmm.
give me versus let me earn it. Let
Right.
me earn that. And that's a very important lesson for these young people to learn nowadays. Coach, what do you see yourself doing in the next few years?
Right now, I am coaching high school baseball. I have a goal to bring a state title back to the school. It's the two district championships we just had. It's the first time they've won in probably 15 years. And I'm trying to make this program a better program for when I'm time to retire.
Right.
And my next couple goals is finding someone to. Right now I'm just trying to find someone to put lights in our ballpark, and we got some things working. So we'll see what happens. That's what I plan on doing. You know what? I had an opportunity last year. I had an opportunity to interview for a college coaching job. I got some phone calls on a job, and you know what? I prayed about it, and I'm supposed to stay where I'm at.
And
So
that,
I'm out at this high school right now. I love the people at Sefner Christian. I love the program in the school.
yeah. And how many years have you been at Sefner now?
I've been there 6 years.
You've been there 6
6 years.
years.
Yeah, and it's what he calls. It's been an incredible 6 years. I've learned so much, and the 6 years I've been there, it's positioned me to walk in Christ.
Amen. That's
And
awesome.
I can't actually put words to it, what it's done for me as a person, not even as a coach, as a person. It's just been
Right, right,
incredible.
right.
So it's in, and now I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to lead. My new calling is I'm going to lead. 6 years ago, my biggest anxiety coming to the baseball field was my assistant coach was a youth pastor asking me to pray at the end of practice. I was like, he asked me to pray. I don't know how to pray. I
Mhm.
can't do this. That was my biggest anxiety 6 years ago. And now 6 years later, I'm leading a Bible study with a bunch of ex-players and a couple of former players, players that are playing for me now. So I'm planning on doing another one starting when the season starts with more of my players on my team. We've never done it before. I listen to
That's
other coaches doing it at the school, and I'm like, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. And you know what? God is leading me to learn how to do it. And it's been great. We've only got a couple times together, but it's just a fellowship. And now it's tough because you want to draw that line between coach and mentor, but you got to
Mhm.
make sure the players that are there are going to respect the other
Right.
side of you. And my guys laugh because I'm an older Italian emotional guy. So they laugh at me when I cry, but it's okay because that shows them the human side of me. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Because
right.
I will always give them the balance. I'll be the first guy there to hug them when they do well, and I'll be the first guy there to kick them in the tush when they do bad. And they get that balance, and you know what? They appreciate the balance. They they take the criticism better because I know when they do good,
Right.
that I'm there to really show them how they did, and I'll call it out on the baseball field how good they did in front of me. I'll give them credit. One of the biggest things that players have right now, they struggle with social media.
Yes.
You know, I get guys that put stuff on social media, and I'll go back to practice the next day, and I'm like, why would you put that on social media? It was a double. So what?
That's
Well,
right.
coach, it was good. Okay, you hit a double. You're batting 100 for the season. You're making it sound like you're making it look like out there you're this greatest ball player in the world. Why set those
Right.
expectations? So,
Right. Right.
but it's
Yep.
just trying to mentor kids. Is again, it's always getting them to be better people and be humble. If you could be humble as a person, you know, the sky's the limit. But everybody wants to be the big guy.
Yeah, I agree. And I love that again, that you're leading coach from the front, that you're you know, teaching not just incredible sports values, but you're also teaching them how to be great men on
Yes.
the field and off the field. And for
Yeah.
that, I say, for the greater good of humanity, thank you, because we
Oh, my
need more
pleasure.
Coach Sal's out there. We really do. Now is a time where our young people really need great mentors, and great that have their best interests at heart, whether we're winning or losing, that we will always be able to instill in them those great foundations. And so
Exactly.
I am so thankful that you were here with me today. I look forward to having you on again in the future on All
Without a
Bases.
doubt.
Yes.
It's an honor to be on. It was an honor when you called me and said, "Hey, I'd love you on the show." I look at what I do. I'm nothing special, but I
Well,
really was
you're
honored that you.
special to us. You're special to us, and you're special to the hundreds and hundreds of youth out there that you've impacted with your gifts and talents. So we're thankful for you. We pray that God continue to bless you and give you,
Thank you.
you know, all the wisdom that you need to keep mentoring these young people. So that was Coach Sal Giardina. Thank you so much again, Coach Sal, for being with us.
Thank you.
This show can also be heard on Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out SpanglishWorld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, live it. Make each day amazing on purpose, and remember to always stay unbeatable. This is your host, Jesse Rodriguez Melendez, and I will see you next week here on another edition of All Bases Covered. See you then. Have a good one.